lead driver Scott Pruitt. GTU honors went to this Mazda and lead driver Amos Johnson. The streets of Miami were next for GTU. Despite the carnage, Chevy's new Beretta took the checkers with two-time GTU champ Tom Kendall at the wheel. The 12 Hours of Sebring, the victor in the GTO class, the Poly-Voltac Corvette of Wally Dallenbeck Jr. In GTU, the Chevrolet Beretta fell by the wayside, while Daytona winners Highball Racing took the checkers. A GTO-only affair at West Palm Beach was next. For the second time in 3 outings, the win went to the Mercure, this time with Pete Halsmer at the wheel. Today, the stars of IMSA's Camel GTO and GTU classes invade Summit Point Raceway in Summit Point, West Virginia. America's best sports car drivers are here. Pruitt, Ribbs, Dallenbeck, Cord, the cars, Toyota, Corvette, Mercure, Mazda. It's the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix from Summit Point, West Virginia, next on the Nashville Network. Bruce Flanders, and welcome to Summit Point Raceway. We're here for the International Motorsports Association Camel GT Racing, featuring the GTO and GTU divisions. With me to cover the action, the host of the Nashville Network's Hidden Heroes, Dave Bowman. You'll meet him a little later, but right now the story thus far this weekend has been the weather. It's a bright and sunny day right now, but that was not the case for the last 2 days. The field qualified earlier this morning because Friday and Saturday, the Summit Point course was a river of water. Rain hampered practice and qualifying, so the 39 teams on hand had only minutes to set up their respective machinery. With that in mind, some of the top competitors did not qualify in their usual grid positions. This is a 3-hour race, so pit stops and in some cases driver exchanges will be a factor. It's called the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix. It's sports car racing at its best, and it's coming at you right now on the Nashville Network.
The Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix is brought to you by Toyota Motorsports, where technology on a fast track is built into every Toyota car and truck you buy.
For the racer, this is probably the most tension-filled portion of the day, waiting for those most famous words in all of motorsports. And to deliver those words today will be Mr. Bob Wallace, the Vice President of Sales, Mid-Atlantic Toyota Distributors.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
A total of 39 cars have survived the qualifying under the strange conditions, and now with the sun out and shining brightly, they're getting ready to roll them away from the pre-grid area and start the warm-up laps. Now, there are 2 different divisions of cars out here, the GTOs and the GTUs. That's the quickest qualifying GTU, driven by young Tom Kendall out of La Cañada, California. Let's meet him and talk about the car a little bit more.
The car itself is very competitive, especially at this track. Summit Point has a real slippery track surface, and the way this car was designed, it's a lot softer suspension-wise than any of the other cars, and it helps give it a little more bite and a little more body roll that gives it a little edge on this type of a track and also a street circuit.
Tom Kendall's Beretta is the quickest of the GTU category cars, but that was only good enough to put him 12th overall on the grid. The fastest is the Mercure XR4 Ti of Scott Pruitt, and we asked him about racing strategy.
Basically, we want to try and run 1 pit stop. I think that the 4-cylinder engine seems to get real good gas mileage, so we're going to try and do 1 stop. It's going to be close. We're going to really have to back off our pace if we're going to do that. A lot of it's going to depend on the cautions, and a lot of it's going to depend on how fast the guys are going out there. If the other guys are wanting to run faster pace, then we're going to go ahead and go with 2 stops.
There are 39 total starters in this 3-hour-long IMSA race. And by the way, IMSA loves to do it in time frames rather than in laps. It doesn't matter how many laps they do get in. Of those 39 starters, 17 represent 2-driver teams. And that's why it's of interest to us to see that Scott Pruitt intends to go solo in this particular ride. Halsmer also. We'll talk more about that right now. Let's meet the whole lineup itself. The top 10 cars are all GTO category. In fact, on the pole, it's number 11, Scott Pruitt, Roseville, California, the Mercure XR4 Ti. Alongside of him, number 6, Pete Halsmer, Anaheim, same kind of a Mercure. Second row, number 99, Willie T. Ribbs, San Jose, California, the All-American Racers Toyota Celica Turbo. Spot 4, number 5, Wally Dallenbeck Jr., there's a famous name in racing, win the Poly-Voltac Corvette. Number 2, identical car. Greg Pickett, Alamo, California, another Corvette. Number 30, Buzz McCall and Jack Baldwin, our first paired-up group in the Skull Bandit Camaro. Number 98, Chris Cord and Dennis Ossie, paired up in the All-American Racers Toyota Celica Turbo. Number 33 is Andy Pettery, Greenwich, Connecticut, and Craig Carter, Marion, Indiana, in an early Roush Racing Ford Mustang. Number 38 is Roger Mandeville and Kelly Marsh in the Mandeville Rotary Mazda RX-7. And finally, number 76, John Morton, a wily veteran, and P.J. Jones, son of Parnelli, in the Mazda RX-7. Looking at the rest of them on back there, in the 12th spot on the grid is that first qualifier in GTU, Tommy Kendall out of La Cañada in the Chevrolet Beretta. Number 71 there, qualifying 16th, Amos Johnson, Team Highball. Boy, he can be tough. And a little bit further back, 22nd on the grid, Cal Choquette in the 00 Dodge Daytona. That'll be an interesting one to watch, a front-wheel drive car. Boy, a lot of cars, and a narrow racetrack today. Here it comes. Green flag is waving, and the 3 hours of Summit Point is underway. And look at this drag race. You wouldn't think that there was anything beyond turn 1. It's Pruitt in front as they get there, and boy, they're using every edge of the racetrack, and the dust is kicking up. What was mud earlier is now dust. As Pruitt's XR4 TI comes by in front, Halsmer in the second place spot, and then the 2 Corvettes running 3rd and 4th, and it looks like Chris Cord in the Toyota in the 5th place spot. There has been troubles reported, apparently mechanical, to Willie T. Ribs. He's back on the track, but circling back of the pack at the moment. Well, we had hopes for him, the track record holder here at Summit Point. Later, though, there's Pruitt going by. Halsmer in the second place spot. Almost an offline move right there by Pruitt in this early stage. And you certainly don't want to get far off the line of the racetrack today. One of the newspaper guys described it earlier as being like polished concrete with STP on it. In the early stages, you've got to make sure that you don't overdrive your tires. And it's interesting to note, there are 28 starters on Goodyear, 6 on Firestone, 3 on Yokohama, and 2 on Hoosiers. And everybody in the front of this group is on Goodyears and coming up to temperature right now. The tires will be working at their best. But again, you don't want to put them off on the edge and pick up debris, which debris will really stick to a warm tire like these. Ow! Right to the edge of the racetrack. Chris Cord trying to find the limits. It's a turbocharged 2.5-liter Merkur engine in first and in second. Then you're looking at the normally aspirated Chevrolet V8s running 3rd and 4th. And then it's the smallest engine in that group, the Toyota 2.1-liter turbocharged, coming after him from the 5th place spot. A 3-hour-long race, as we pointed out, not a total number of laps. And it looks more like a sprint race the way they're doing it. There's Willie T. Ribs. Apparently mechanical problems have befallen his Toyota, and he is stopping on the racetrack. That's a smart racer that does it under this circumstance. A lot of guys will pull off to the edge of the course and just consider their day done. Willie T. trying to force a yellow flag around the racetrack and hopefully a tow back to the pit lane to get back in the action. Meanwhile, the leader's coming around as the only place there's a yellow flag out is in that one corner. So the rest of the racetrack, you're fair game for each other. Through this carousel type of a corner, it is still Pruitt in front of it, Halsmer in second, then the 2 Corvettes, and a look at Chris Cord holding down that 5th place spot. And also a look, I don't know if you caught it, but right at the edge of the racetrack, there's still a lot of puddles and water standing at spots that you wouldn't want to get offline. Roseville, California, Scott Pruitt is in charge of it in the early stages here of the 3-hour race. Pete Halsmer is right behind him in the 2nd place in a nearly identical car. And then that pair of Corvettes. And in the 5th place spot, it is Chris Cord, who tries to find the very edge of the racetrack right there. As they come charging on the straightaway, we're coming back with the action from the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix. And watch the battle for second right there. Squeeze them off. Come on back and see what happens.
Winner, Manufacturers' Cup Challenge. Toyota. Winner, IMSA GTO Series Championship. Toyota, the only manufacturer to ever win both car and truck championships in a single season. Winning technology. You'll find it reflected in every Toyota you buy. Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more?
Okay, Dave, we blocked it off solid.
Okay, come on, back it out of there. Come on.
Last year, racing on the same Haviland Supreme motor oil you can buy anywhere. NASCAR Rookie of the Year, Davey Allison, and the Haviland Star Racing Team won 2 races, 9 top 5s, and set 1 track record.
All set, Davey?
All set.
If Haviland Supreme performs this well under the extreme heat and stress of a racing engine, imagine how well it will perform in your engine.
Great time.
Haviland Supreme, cool under fire.
When the heat is hard to say, cool it down and take a break. Take the nasty punch. Take the nasty punch. Take the nasty punch.
Only Nestee's unique blend makes iced tea this refreshing.
Take the nasty plunge.
Available and naturally decaffeinated.
If your car is trying to tell you it wants something, come to Kmart and get it Rain Dance liquid or paste wax for extra shine and protection.
Nice car. Want some more?
Kmart, the saving place and more. Doug Robinson is having an asthma attack.
My lungs are tight. I didn't have enough air. I couldn't blow it out.
For occasional attacks, try Primatene Mist. In as fast as 15 seconds, Primatene restores free breathing. Primatene, because asthmatics can't take breathing for granted.
Welcome back to the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix from Summit Point, West Virginia. It is a 3-hour race. The action has been absolutely furious in the front 5 spots. That's your leader. In front of it, Scott Pruitt. The second place spot is Pete Halsmer in an identical Merkur, then the 2 Corvettes, and then the Toyota. That is the other broken Toyota that is still sitting at the corner, and they have not dispatched a tow vehicle. Wally Dallenbeck Jr. in the Corvette has been trying the hardest of anybody on this racetrack, and there he just got underneath Pete Halsmer. And it was at a corner where a yellow flag was supposed to be waving. Might be an interesting pass. As we look back, there's P.J. Jones in the number 76 GTO Mazda with the big triple rotary motor. They're running along, but not close to the top 5. There is the top 5 group, and they have rearranged Merkur Corvette, and then the Toyota. Pruitt in front of it. Dallenbeck Jr. in the second place spot. Neither one of these guys beyond about 23, 24 years of age. Wow! It looked as though Greg Pickett got underneath Pete Halsmer. Or maybe Halsmer tried to close the door on Pickett. But Halsmer came up the short end of it on the racetrack, and Pickett has now taken over the third place spot. Also moving up the ladder, Chris Cord in the Toyota now sits 4th. And Pete Halsmer tries to get his Merkur back into the race action and hold on to the number 5 overall spot. He's getting up to speed, but here comes the number 6 and 7 running car right behind him. Halsmer, what did cause the incident? Let's take a look and you decide. Watch the 3rd and 4th place cars as they come together here in the replay in the corner. Boy, who did own that corner when they got there? Number 6 ends up spinning around the Merkur. The Corvette, with very little damage, continues on and, in fact, takes over 3rd. And the big problem for Pete Halsmer now, whose glasses are probably steaming just a little bit inside, is to get the Merkur relit and pointed the right way. Back to the racing action on the course right now. And the number 2 Corvette, with a little tire smoke there as he went through the corner, is up to the 3rd place spot. And Chris Cord in the Toyota right behind him now in the 4th place position. There is your leader, Scott Pruitt, and Wally Dallenbeck Jr. on him as they go by the still stalled car of Willie T. Ribbs. It's a 2-mile-long racetrack here at Summit Point, West Virginia, and you can kind of get lost in it unless you've got a map. So now, let's take a look at where the course does go. The racetrack itself is a 10-turn, 2-mile loop, primarily right-hand corners. And as you look at this map, we'll be breaking it up into different sections so that you can follow along with us, and then going to video to actually see the cars run through the course itself. There's a campground at this facility, and thousands of people have spent the whole weekend. Now watch as the map changes. We're going to highlight from start-finish, clear down through the loop. This is where the cars are coming at their fastest velocity, but also have to do just about their most serious braking. Here comes one of the factory Toyota cars right now. Watch the nose and its relationship. Brakes are on right now. And suddenly that car is hauling down a lot of miles per hour. There's a right-hander here, changing radius, and then another soft right-hander called turn 2. Turn number 3, a left-hander, and the highest speed left-hand turn on this primarily right-handed course. On the left for the driver, it's a forest. On the right, the spectators get to see anything he does wrong. Now, this one, you've got to be in the exact right position, or when you exit, you're in trouble. Kind of a short straightaway then as you move on down to the next series of corners, which will demand precision. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's quite a combination called the Chute, Ev Gardner Turn, and the Carousel. At least those are the names they're known by locally. The number 98 Toyota Celica once again nimbly bringing you through here. If you are stuck here behind a slower car, you're stuck behind that car for a long time. So you needed to make the pass earlier. If you go offline, you're going to be once again in deep trouble with dirt on the tires. Turn 9 and 10 are linked by what looks like on the map a short straightaway. It has some elevation change. It's kind of a little roller coaster ride. And as you come through there, there's pit entry on the right-hand side for the driver. Once again, the Toyota coming through there by pit entry and then exiting out through 10 onto the straightaway. When they get out onto that straightaway, there is the start-finish line. Pit, as we have said, is on the right-hand side. By the way, we had some radar readings in the practice session. Halsmer was the quickest at 169 miles an hour. Pruitt at 165. Then Willie T in practice at 161, right about here. Back to the racing itself, and as you can see, the GTO race for the lead is still tight together. Number 11, Pruitt, with the number 5 car of Wally Dallenbeck Jr. sitting right behind him. Through that carousel type of a corner they go once again. And let's give you all the standings. Here it comes. Pruitt is in front of it. Dallenbeck second. Greg Pickett, the other Corvette, is in third. Chris Cord, the Toyota Celica, is in the 4th place spot. Then Pete Halsmer still holding down 5th with the Mercure. The GTU standings, because that separate race within a race is going on well. Bob Leitzinger in front of it. Tom Kendall, whom you met, is in second. Max Jones third. Amos Johnson 4th. And Dorsey Schroeder in the 5th place spot. The excitement of the Toyota Mid-Atlantic Grand Prix continues on TNN after this.
The 1988 Toyota Celica. Its powerful 16-valve, 135-horsepower engine propels you to the limit, while you glory in Celica's sleek, aerodynamic shape. The 1988 Toyota Celica. The power and the glory. Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more?
It takes a powerful engine to make Terry Vance's bike go over 160 miles an hour. But Byron Hines, his mechanic, knows it won't go anywhere if one small part isn't working right. That's why he uses parts he can count on, like Autolite double copper spark plugs. They're made by the only American company that puts copper in the seal and the center electrode, so they can stand up to engines like Terry's. And they're great plugs for your bike. But don't take it from Terry Vance. Take it from Byron Hines, his mechanic. Autolite.
This summer, savor every delicious moment, because these are the good old days, and good old-fashioned lemonade was never better than this. Country Time lemonade flavored drink mix, now with all natural flavors and no preservatives.
Country Time, 'cause these are the good old days. These are the good old days.
This is a brand new $18,000 car. Put in a leading motor oil. This is an identical new car. Put in Mobil 1. Start them up and drive. Under extreme conditions, temperatures inside your engine can reach 570 degrees. Of course, Mobil 1 costs more, but then under extreme conditions, look at what can happen to conventional motor oil. Mobil 1. Isn't your car worth the extra protection?
Welcome back to the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix. What you're watching right there is the battle for the lead, and it has been going on a while. Number 11, Scott Pruitt, is in front. Right behind him is Dallenbeck. That is still the stranded Toyota that belongs to Willie T. Ribbs, awaiting a push or a tow back to the pit lane. This battle for the lead between these two young lions, both of whom have grown up through the sport and driven just about every form of competition and won titles both in the IMSA and the SCCA racing. Now, traffic becomes a serious factor for them, and the way that they're going to be utilizing each of the different cars that they come up on. A little oil smoke out of somebody right there. In 1988, Scott Pruitt is competing in both SCCA Trans Am and IMSA GTO. He'll encounter a lot of traffic.
Traffic always plays an important part here, especially when you're running the GTU cars. In a long race like this, you want to just go out there and be conservative and just get by guys in safe places and just make sure you don't have any problems, because the thing at the end is you need a good, strong car. If you tear up a car during a race and you spin out, tear a fender off, tear a wing off, your car won't be up to optimum performance. So you really want to be careful of that.
Pruitt at the moment, being careful as you can be with Wally Dallenbeck right on you. There is a yellow flag on the race course right now, a full course yellow flag, and that means they'll be coming under the control of a pace car. The pace car itself, we understand, is on the racetrack already, but did not pick up the leaders. They'll probably be letting a few of them by to do that. They should be coming right down through the corners. Yeah, there's Willie T. Ribbs' car is still sitting there. It has not moved, but I don't know if that is the reason for the yellow flag or not. Pace car on course, the Toyota Celica with the gumball machines lit up on top, and I would imagine he'll be letting some traffic through there and pick up the leaders themselves. Well, it's kind of a respite, a break. It will throw some changes into some of your strategies, possibly, especially if you're one of the two-car driving teams. Do you take this opportunity now under the slower paced laps to go ahead and make a driver switch or not? Doesn't matter to the two lead cars, at least not right at the moment. They're both scheduled to go single the whole distance. Working with me this weekend and down in the pit lane is Mr. Dave Bowman. You know him here on TNN as the host of Sunday's Hidden Heroes show. Dave is going to be ready to file the first of his reports, and he wanted to clear up the differentiation between GTO and GTU. Go ahead, Dave. Do that for us.
Well, you know, Bruce, a lot of people always wonder, what is the difference between GTO and GTU? Well, the major difference is in the engine side. GTO runs engines from 3 liters up to 6 liters. That's 183 cubic inches up to 366 cubic inches. And they've got to weigh somewhere between 1,900 pounds to 2,700 pounds. Now, these are naturally aspirated engines with 2-valve heads. GTU runs engines anywhere from 3 liters on down, and they can weigh a minimum of 1,600 pounds. Now, there's a factor, or there's a formula, rather, as to how you judge the engine against the weight. Now, if you're running a turbocharger, that means you have to add 10% more to the listed weight. If you run and that's if you're running 2-valve heads. If you run a 4-valve head, then that's another formula. Or do you have to take some weight away? I'm not real sure. The best way to find out is to get the IMSA rule book and a pocket calculator. That way you can figure it out. Or you can use the old Bowman method, and that is to just look on the side of the car. If it says O or U, you know exactly what it is. It never fails.
The Dave Bowman method. It's the way a lot of scorekeepers use, too, to keep them separated. Hi there. Good to see you, too. We're green flag once again. And it is Pruitt in front. Right behind him, Dallenbeck. Behind that, Pickett. And then the 4th place, Cord in the Toyota. And maybe a try right here. The 355 cubic inch Corvette trying to get around the Mercure. The yellow flag was out, by the way. The reason was for Willie T ribs. They have brought ribs back around, and in fact have got ribs apparently restarted and back in the action. But if you're trying to do any kind of scoring at home, ribs is somewhere around 17 laps down from the field at the moment. By the way, a special thank you should be put across right now to the hard-working corner workers at this facility. Normal issue at a racetrack like this is a broom to keep your corner clean. This morning, they all were working with shovels to get rid of the water and the muck that was on this track. It's a credit to them. They worked hard. And you're looking right now at the top 4 cars that close together. Every car in your home picture is one of the front runners. That's Pruitt in front of it, Dallenbeck in second. There's Willie T. We said he was back in the action. And in fact, they tell us around the racetrack that Toyota is now screaming around the racetrack, one of the quickest on the track. Well, we've got to find out what happened to him. Dave Bowman should have a report from the pit lane.
And according to Ron Perry, one of the mechanics, it ran through the woods. Well, they got to Willie's car, and he just wired 2 of the ignition wires together, just like hot wiring a car in the parking lot. Seems to solve the problem for now. Willie's running strong and back on the track.
Hot wiring a race car, whatever it takes to get it back in the action. That's number 95, Leitzinger, in front with a Nissan in the GTU category now. And right behind him is Kendall in the Beretta, running second in that same category. They're in traffic, and they encounter traffic a different way. They don't have quite the same horsepower as the Mercure and the Toyota Celica turbos to get around them. Back on the lead battle, this is GTO again. And there is number 11, Scott Pruitt, in front of it. Right behind him is Dallenbeck, and he has been there the whole time. But it looked like he might be running out of tires. Little wiggle. GTU battle. Here comes the move in traffic. The red and white car taking over the lead from the blue one, number 95. And now Kendall has taken over the lead in the GTU category. And that's the number 2 car, which was sitting 3rd overall, but there is stuff coming out the bottom of Greg Pickett's Corvette, and I don't think he's going to be a threat any longer. There's your leader, number 11, Scott Pruitt, still being chased heavily by Wally Dallenbeck in the Polyvoltac Corvette. The IMSA Camel GT, the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix from Summit Point, continues after this.
multi-valve performance series from Toyota. A very tough act to follow.
Hi, how was your day?
Usual.
Meet tomorrow's headliners today as they compete for a grand prize worth over $50,000, including a recording contract and an appearance on the Grand Ole Opry. Jim Ed Brown hosts You Can Be a Star, weekdays on TNN.
Howdy, Slim. Here's your Opryland USA passport.
Wow, what's that for?
Saves you 20% at Opryland. Now look here, Slim. For only $51.50, you get 3 days at Opryland Show Park, a General Jackson day cruise, a Grand Ole Opry matinee, and more.
Let's go. Yeehaw!
To get your Opryland USA passport, have your credit card handy and call 615-889-6611. Then come to Opryland, America's musical showplace.
Hi, I want to tell you what's new at Opryland USA. There's a brand new show that honors award-winning music called And the Winner Is. And the General Jackson has a new day cruise show and a new production of the evening cruise show. And there's a wonderful new show called Music, Music, Music.
Starring Brenda Lee.
So come see me at Opryland, America's musical showplace.
For information, call 1-800-327-7999.
Welcome back to the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix. I'm Bruce Flanders, and along with Dave Bowman, we're covering the action for you. That is the number 5 car, and he is going around right in front of us as Wally Dallenbeck spins it what looked like all by himself. So the number 5 Corvette quickly gets back into the action and actually maintains its second place on the racetrack. But the question is, how did that happen? And is it going to happen again? A quick replay of the Wally Dallenbeck spin. Watch him closely. It looks, as we look at it now, that it must have been oil or something on the track. Daytona 24-hour winner number 71, Amos Johnson, with an evasive maneuver right there in replay that looked easy to do, and something got to him. Was it a locking up single brake or oil on the track? If the racetrack is getting slippery, it's getting slippery for everyone. This is Chris Cord, who's now running 3rd overall. Now, how close are they actually to what was their original strategy before the event started?
We're going to take this race, very conservatively in the beginning. Let the race unfold for us, and there may be, a very strong likelihood that some of the guys that we were racing in the beginning won't be there at the end. So we want to be sure to be there at the end, and I think if we are, we'll be in a very high position.
The philosophy not only of Chris Cord, but of Dan Gurney's All-American Racers. You've got to be there at the end of this 3-hour race. That's 98 Cord. He is currently in the second place spot on the racetrack. There's Ribs in the number 99 car, but there's your leader, number 11, Pruitt. And that is the number 6 car, Pete Halsmer. He's currently 3rd, working his way back up from a spin he had earlier. Ooh, this is Ribs on your left trying to make a big move and stay in front of Wally Dallenbeck. Dallenbeck is now shown in the 4th position on the racetrack and desperately trying to stay in front of, or a lap on the same lead lap with, number 11, Pruitt. Pick it up again as they come down. This is 98 Cord. As we've mentioned, he's in 2nd spot. Back about 25 seconds. A little wiggle there, like he might be running out of tires right now. Cord all by himself and away from a lot of the fray that has been going on. There's been some bumper bending around this racetrack. There's Willie T, and he is trying to get through traffic, stay in front of Dallenbeck, and at the same time, look out, guys, here comes your overall leader, Scott Pruitt, trying to figure a way through that traffic jam. This is a fast group of company as they come around once again. Set them up for you as they try to get around Cal Choquette. 99, Pruitt. Then behind him, Dallenbeck. And then the overall leader, Scott Pruitt. Boy, Pressure City. That is number 98, Chris Cord. 2nd place overall on the racetrack. Back almost a half a lap at this point. Back on the leaders. Heavy-duty maneuvering as Pruitt. Does he get around Dallenbeck? He does right there. So Scott Pruitt comfortably in front of this event at the moment in the number 11 Stroll, Mac Tools, Mercure. In front of him, the next guy he'd love to put a lap on, and for personal reasons if nothing else, is Willie T. Ribs. Number 11 and number 5. That's your 1st and 4th place cars at this moment quite close together on the racetrack. Picking it up again with the leader right there as he comes around. The number 11, Scott Pruitt. Boy, so far, there have been absolutely no mistakes by the young man out of Roseville, California. That's 2nd on the racetrack right now. And, of course, that's Chris Cord, the number 98 car. The leader, Pruitt, is in charge of the situation as he comes by. Fourth place right behind him. And back a half a lap, number 98, Cord. Now, who's sitting in the third place position? Here it is, number 6, Pete Halsmer, the other Merkur, XR4 TI. He sits third. And Halsmer, in that companion car to Scott Pruitt's, is the only car left on the lead lap. The top 3 cars as they sit right now, number 11, Scott Pruitt, number 98, Chris Cord, who is second, and number 6, Halsmer in the third place spot. We're watching Pruitt right now through traffic. Boy, tough assignment. We're watching Cord challenging, but he's not got a lot of traffic in front of him. And then behind him a ways, there is the number 6. That's Halsmer. To stay anywhere near the front, you've got to have the greatest of brakes, and Dave Bowman investigated the brake story.
One of the most important systems of any race car is the brake system. This is the front brake assembly on the Toyota GTO car that Willie T. drives. The rotor is 1 3/8 inches thick, and it's over 13 inches wide. It's ventilated and it's cross-drilled. The reason for that is this rotor gets extremely hot, up to 12 to 1300 degrees under racing conditions. Therefore, you have to get air through the rotor in order to cool it. The brake pads will be half worn out after just 3 hours. In order to do a complete brake job on this car, it'll cost over $1,000. So the next time you go to have your car repaired and have a brake job done on it, just be glad you're not driving a GTO car. Back to you, Bruce.
Well, it may be a $1,000 brake job, Dave, but at least it's done in a hurry and ready to go again. We're testing the brakes right now on the number 1 car that you're looking at. This is the brand new Chevrolet Beretta. Well, brand new this season anyway. It was already a winner on the streets of Miami. Tom Kendall driving it, back-to-back champion in this GTU division. It's a 2400cc V6 Chevrolet, and right now the car he's setting up to go around is his older brother, Bart Kendall. Bart Kendall's no slouch, and that particular Mazda that Bart is running is probably one of the highest mileage cars in all of IMSA racing. Again, the red and white car making the move inside with the brakes on now is the leader by about a half a lap in the GTU division. And it is a state-of-the-art tube chassis, peerless built Chevrolet Beretta. It has impressed the field and taken the rule book right to the ragged edge. The Kendall brothers together, Father Chuck, a former driver in IMSA racing, probably kind of giggling to himself right now. Back on the leader, this is number 11, Scott Pruitt, who's been working traffic masterfully. He is coming up behind Kendall right now. In fact, probably soon to put a lap on him. No traffic in front of young Tom Kendall, the 22-year-old winner of, let's see, checking my list, he's been in the top 5 34 times out of 39 starts and back-to-back division championships. You can see the differential there between the 2 Kendall brothers and the hard-charging number 11, our total overall leader in the GTO, Scott Pruitt. On the front straightaway once again, and as we watch, the Beretta is about ready to lap 2 other cars that are dicing hard. Oh boy, they leave him room, very gentlemanly maneuver, and Tom Kendall goes through without wasting any time. There's a look at Bart Kendall, how much distance he's pulled out already, and boy, sneaking up right behind. Here comes Pruitt. Pruitt, with 53 starts in Camel GT racing, has 10 wins already to his credit. Over 20% of the time he gets in the car, he stands on the victory rostrum. Here comes the second place overall car, Chris Cord, about a half a lap behind the leader right now and one of only 3 cars on the lead lap. A little wiggle right there, too, like he might be getting ready for tires. A little shot of Kendall, and here's Pruitt working that traffic, and Bart Kendall following him right through the same area. Pruitt this year has already tested in a Formula 1 car and driven at Long Beach in an Indy car. He had breakage there, but he is certainly climbing up the ladder in open-wheel competition after starting in open-wheel competition called go-kart. Chris Cord in the number 98 car. They're just getting smoothly through some traffic. He's the Beverly Hills investment banker Monday through Friday. Boy, that makes a difference when you put the helmet on Saturday and Sunday. This particular Sunday at Summit Point Raceway in West Virginia, number 11, that's your leader, Scott Pruitt. He's the only one who will need investment counseling. Here's a look at who else has contention at the moment. It's the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix coming back after this.
You wouldn't back out on your baby brother now, would you?
Me? Hey, here it comes. I see it. All right. She's all mine now. Hand her over. Right here? Hey, deal's a deal.
I can't believe I agreed to this.
When a truck is built to last, like a Toyota, there's no telling how many times you'll hand it down.
The hat? Thank you.
Long-lasting Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more?
How hot can it get inside your car's engine? This hot. 570 degrees under extreme conditions. Take a leading motor oil. Take Mobil 1 and watch. Of course, Mobil 1 costs more. But under extreme conditions, when you see what can happen to conventional motor oil, it doesn't pay to play with fire. Mobil 1. Isn't your car worth the extra protection?
July on TNN sizzles with the hottest entertainment around. Escape to the Caribbean with the Gatlin Brothers and enjoy a fantasy vacation of country music hits and water sports in the Cayman Islands. Don't miss this full hour of fun and music on the Great Gatlin Getaway. Then, it's the Best of Country Rock Showcase as host Charlie Daniels welcomes David Lynn Jones, Mason Ruffner, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and the legendary Southern rock band Leonard Skinner to Charlie Daniels' Volunteer Jam 13. And TNN will take you behind the scenes for a special look at this popular concert. Join host and founder Charlie Daniels for Volunteer Jam 13, Part 2. And Saturdays on TNN bring you vintage rock and rollers from the 50s and 60s as Wolfman Jack hosts Rock and Roll Palace. Then you'll see the stars, hear the music, and feel the magic of the Grand Ole Opry live. It all happens in July on TNN. Sports Sunday, July 31st. The action's awesome as TNN brings you the show-off excitement and danger of Wheel Standers exhibition racing. Plus, you'll see the thumping, bumping, car-crushing muscle of monster trucks. And you'll feel the thunder and lightning of jet-powered dragsters, funny cars, and specialty vehicles. The sparks fly, hot and heavy, on Show and Go. Sports Sunday, July 31st at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TNN.
Welcome back to the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix. Bruce Flanders and Dave Bowman covering the action for you on a TNN Sports Sunday. And the Camel GT drivers have shown up in droves. But at the moment, as you can see on the leaderboard, number 11, Scott Pruitt, is in front of it and controlling the GTO race, if you could call it control. He's never put a wheel wrong, and he's been quick. The GTU division, the separate race within a race, Tom Kendall and the Chevrolet Beretta in charge there, and as comfortable of a margin as Pruitt has right now, about a half of a lap of this racetrack. They're reporting now that the pit signal has been given to Chris Cord, so anticipate Cord into the pits, and also probably it's time for Halsmore or one of the Roush-built Fords to also be in the pit lane. Well, this is going to be interesting. Pit action coming up. In fact, it's in the pit lane now. The Toyota pit lane is certainly alive as Dennis Ossie in the yellow helmet opens the door. Chris Cord climbs out. At the same time, they're cleaning the windshield, adding fuel, and putting a fresh tire on each of the four corners. Now watch Chris Cord readjusting the straps for the driver, Dennis Ossie. It's an efficient use of personnel, but second place on the racetrack is going to change right there as number 6 is going by and Halsmer is back on track in second. This is Buzz McCall changing drivers with Jack Baldwin and the Skoal Bandit Camaro. Here is Dallenbeck Jr. He wasn't scheduled to make a driver change, but it looks as though Greg Pickett is going to get in the car. If you've been with us the whole time, you know that Pickett at one time was running second in his Corvette, but it blew up. There's the number 98 car back out onto the racetrack, and it is Dennis Ossie behind the wheel, a member of Dan Gurney's All-American Racers team out of Santa Ana, California, one of the members who took that GTO championship for the Toyota team last year. Let's take a moment now and meet Dan Gurney, the legend, and his crew. When American racing legends are mentioned, Dan Gurney is always brought up in the same breath as A.J. Foyt, Mario Andretti, and Richard Petty. Gurney has done it all. He's won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, won in Indy cars, enjoyed success in Winston Cup stock cars, and is one of the only 2 men in racing history to win in a Formula One car designed by its driver. Now add to the list a winner in the International Motorsports Association GTO class with the turbocharged Toyota Celica team. Gurney's All-American Racers, based in Santa Ana, California, have joined forces with Toyota to reign supreme in this hotly contested series. Last year, driver Chris Cord won the Drivers' Championship in GTO, and Toyota took the manufacturer's honors.
Anytime you win titles like that, it's twice as hard to defend them than it is to get them. You know? So you know, when you're on top, they're always trying to knock you off.
In an attempt to close up the performance gap between Toyota and the rest of the GTO competitors, IMSA decided to saddle Team Toyota with some additional weight for 1988.
It's about like carrying, let's say another 35, 40 gallons of gasoline, and a full load of fuel slows the cars down, and we're actually, that penalty is even more than that. So it probably knocks second and a half off our lap time. And in order to make up that, why we have to run the engines that much harder. So what we have done is we've gone to the coupe body style on the Celica, and we've also widened the rear track a little bit and different rear suspension. And we've actually reduced the size of the engine, although we haven't had a chance to run it yet, make it a 2-liter engine. That allows us to knock 100 of the 215-pound penalty off. And we've done one or two other things that have sort of regained some of the ground we lost.
Helping defend Toyota's IMSA crown are a trio of veteran drivers. Chris Cord, an investment banker from Beverly Hills, resembles talk show host Phil Donahue, but is the team leader and GTO champion. Then there's Dennis Ossie, who's driven just about everything on 4 wheels. And last but certainly not least, Willie T. Ribbs, one of the fastest drivers on the sports car scene, and a driver with a wealth of experience despite being only 32.
Well, you know, I've been in racing all my life, and I've known Gurney ever since I was a child. He was one of my heroes as a kid. Now I'm racing for him. You know, fate plays a big part in life.
Dan Gurney and the All-American Racers. Quite a crew. Speaking of crews, Jack Roush's crew is over the wall to work on the number 11 leader of our race, Scott Pruitt. Pruitt going solo. No driver change here. We're just going for the fresh rubber and get it ready to get back into the action. He is the very last of the cars of their team to pit, as already the number 6 Halsmer car has been in and out of the lanes. Well, the action here in the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix, hot and heavy, and we'll continue again right after this.
Toyota Corolla. First time I saw the new one, I said, that's a Corolla?
And why'd you say that?
It doesn't look like a Corolla. It's beautiful. And from where the driver sits, it's even more beautiful.
How so?
Great handling. Multi-valve performance, sporty interiors. Beautiful. But I still keep thinking, this is a Corolla?
The new dimension, Corolla. Legendary value, Toyota quality.
Who could ask for anything more?
When the heat's on, motor oil viscosity can break down. To help keep your engine cool, trust Haviland Supreme, the motor oil that's cool under fire. Haviland's viscosity booster helps protect engines against wear under extreme heat and stress.
Up ahead, there's Mexico.
Haviland Supreme, cool under fire.
Starve the American road.
This summer, savor every delicious moment, because these are the good old days, and good old-fashioned lemonade was never better than this. Country Time lemonade-flavored drink mix, now with all natural flavors and no preservatives.
Country Time, 'cause these are the good old days. These are the good old days.
Hold on. So, did you check out any other 4x4s before getting another one of these? Sure. There were some a little cheaper. So how come you stuck with Toyota? Well, my old one never let me down. How many things can you say that about? Yeah, but if you could have saved a few bucks, why take chances? What chances? You got any idea how far it is back to town?
Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more?
The history and legends of the American West are alive today in Persimmon Hill, a beautiful quarterly magazine from the National Cowboy Hall of Fame. From cowboy heroes to fine Western art, you'll enjoy the view from Persimmon Hill. All the art and photographs are reproduced in stunning detail. To subscribe, send $16 to Persimmon Hill Magazine, 1700 Northeast 63rd, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73111.
Welcome back to the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix here at Summit Point. And right now you're looking at the leader, which is number 11, Scott Pruitt in the Mac Tools Mercure. His compadre, the other Mac Tools Mercure, Halsmer, is actually running in second place. That's the number 6 car. In between the two of them, you find the number 99 car, and that's Willie T. Ribbs. For lack of a $4 ignition switch, Willie T. Ribbs finds himself 16 laps down at this point to the leader, but just as quick as they are on the race course right now. Dennis Ossie at the wheel of the number 98 car in relief of Chris Cord is in third place and the last remaining car on the lead lap. In fourth, down a couple of laps now, it is Greg Pickett in the number 5 Corvette. Pickett originally started in the number 2 Corvette, blew it up, and is now in relief of Wally Dallenbeck Jr. in the other car. Let's go to Dave Bowman and find out why.
We're in the pits with Wally Dallenbeck. Wally, what happened out there?
Well, we were running fine, and I just got tangled up with slower traffic there, and we knocked something out of the rear, and the car's not handling real well. It's very loose, and I just didn't want to sit in there for 3 hours. It was getting hot, and I knew Greg that was in the pits, and I just figured that to put a fresh driver in because the car was really a handful.
Wally Dallenbeck Jr. says that his car was not handling properly. It's a real handful. Well, we'll try to catch up with it in a minute. If you've got a handful of a car on this racetrack, you're in trouble because the racetrack hasn't gotten any wider. It's got dust and grit on it as the second place car, Halsmer, motors past us. There is Willie T. pulling away from Halsmer. Here is Pickett in the number 5 Corvette, the one they say doesn't handle well, through the carousel corner. Uh-oh, a quick snap roll and a fine evasive maneuver there by number 98, Dennis Ossie. Ossie could have collected them both and done some severe damage to them. Greg Pickett, 41-year-old driver, rewriting the car now, getting it pointed the right direction. And the Polyvoltac Corvette comes around as Andy Petrie and Craig Carter try to take advantage of the situation and get by. Here's the replay of that action. Keep your eyes on the number 5 Polyvoltac Corvette as it's about to go around. Jack Baldwin, though, following him in the number 30 Camaro, does not know that yet. He's beginning to get an indicator, though. As Pickett circles around in that evil handling car, Baldwin misses him, and then out of the left comes Dennis Ossie right there. Hard on the binders, Ossie avoided any paint changing going on between the two cars. He could have collected him, and it could have been an expensive proposition. Back to the racing action now in the Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix. There are 3 cars in the GTO division that are on the lead lap. That is third place going by and just powering by. Dennis Ossie now at the helm and in relief of Chris Cord. Soloing has been our overall leader, number 11, Scott Pruitt. And Pruitt's Mercure running well as he comes by at one of the fastest portions of this racetrack. You know, the Camel GT drivers are an interesting group of people to meet. Occasionally, if you're lucky enough, you get an autograph or a chance to meet with one of them. Well, Dave Bowman came up with the idea of having a roundtable discussion and maybe finding out a little bit more about the personalities and how they interact with each other. So now, let's go to Dave Bowman's roundtable.
And now it's time for Dave Bowman's roundtable, starring Dave Bowman. Dave's guests today are Willie T. Ribbs, Greg Pickett, Jack Baldwin, and Pete Halsmer. Let's join the roundtable already in progress.
Last race at Palm Beach, I was accused of being one of the dirtiest guys around. In fact, I was the ringleader of the bash crowd. And that is a quote from Jack Baldwin. He says, well, when Willie T came in here, the crashing and the bashing started. He came in, you knew when you saw him coming up the mirror, he was going to hit you, quote, unquote.
That's what he said.
That's what Baldwin said.
It's true. It's true. And you know it's true. You did start it. And it didn't start at West Palm. It started years before that at your first Trans Am race.
Your very first.
Your very
number 1. Uno number 1. That's right. And you know who was in? Yeah, that's right. Willie, you remember this track. We're here at Summit Point. I remember the ride you gave me right here at this very racetrack. When you hit me at 70 miles, I was trying to slow down to about 30. What'd you hit me at? 70, Willie?
I would say at least that.
At least that.
I never got off the gas.
You came over to say hello, didn't you? Hi, Greg. How you doing?
Well, there you have it. They'll all probably be there right at the end fighting it out. And as you can see, when they're not driving, they're sitting around trying to tell the biggest story about each other. Take it back to you there, Bruce.
Thanks a lot, Dave. An interesting look at some of the top flight IMSA Camel GT competitors. And that is number 99, Willie T. Ribbs, right now, shown on the leaderboard in 9th place overall at this point on the race. Oh, and the race, 3 hours worth of it. It looks as though they're going to go well over 120 laps of competition around this 2-mile track within the 3-hour time frame. 9 different brands of cars actually took the green flag. And that's kind of a tribute to IMSA and the way they have weighted and balanced out this whole system so that you can run a turbocharged car of small displacement against a big-inch car that's carbureted. It makes for interesting competition, a lot of different brands, as we said. And at this very moment, about 24 or 25 of them left in competition on the racetrack itself. Watching right there, there is your 2 different leaders. GTU category, the number 1 red car of Tom Kendall. The GTO category, our overall leader, number 11, Scott Pruitt. And we're down to just about the end of the 3 hours here at Summit Point. Pruitt puts another lap on Tom Kendall and sets his sights after Dennis Ossie. Ossie, at age 42, started his first drive in IMSA in 1974. There's Amos Johnson, I think, in the number 71 car. Mechanical problems apparently befalling him. Back on the leader, and the windshield wipers are going. It is not raining here. The only car on the racetrack with its windshield wipers going is Scott Pruitt. Maybe he's decided he'll start waving to the crowd early. I know he doesn't have a way to really clean the windshield, but it's bound to be getting dirty at this point in the competition. Through the carousel corner once again, the number 11 car. And boy, just now, what, about 10 car lengths back of Dennis Ossie. If this were a 15-round championship fight, and Dennis Ossie's gone the whole 15th round, he doesn't want to get knocked out here on this last lap, so he'll be attempting everything he can to stay in front of the hard-running Pruitt. Ooh, and I mean, they're squeezing on each other right there. You wouldn't think that this thing is over and that the leader is supposed to be on cruise control. Coming around, they're headed for the checkered flag here at Summit Point. And on behalf of the staff and management that put this TV show together, we'd like to thank Summit Point Raceway and IMSA. It's been exciting. Checkered flag waving, Ossie stays on the lead lap, but Scott Pruitt ends up taking a very well-deserved victory in the Merkur XR4 TI. Cool down now, but not for everybody. They're still racing to the checkered flag. That's Halsmer. He is sitting in our 2nd place position on the racetrack. And he's trying to put a lap on Jack Baldwin, which Baldwin has now apparently run out of horsepower right there in the Camaro. He was sitting in the 5th place position, but something has let go on that car. Halsmer coming by the pit lane entrance. He's on his way to 2nd place in the Mack Tools XR4 TI. The Toyota Mid-Atlantic Grand Prix waving the checkered flag right now at the end of 3 hours. It has been a challenge for both men and machine. 23 cars are running here at the finish area. There is number 11, Pruitt, circling around, starting to wave. There's Baldwin limping back into the pits. He would have been the 24th car still running at the end of the event. It's time now for the drivers themselves to relax a little bit. They wave at the corner workers in the crowd. That's Dennis Ossie. A nice drive for him as he's motoring around. We're going to be back visiting with the winners, checking all the finish results right after this. Come on back.
Winner, Manufacturers Cup Challenge. Toyota. Winner, IMSA GTO Series Championship. Toyota, the only manufacturer to ever win both car and truck championships in a single season. Winning technology. You'll find it reflected in every Toyota you buy. Toyota quality. Who could ask for anything more?
When the heat is hard to say, cool it down and take a break. Take the nasty plunge. Take the nasty plunge. Take the nasty plunge.
Only Nestee's unique blend makes iced tea this refreshing.
Take the nasty plunge.
Available and naturally decaffeinated. July on TNN sizzles with the hottest entertainment around. Escape to the Caribbean with the Gatlin Brothers and enjoy a fantasy vacation of country music hits and water sports in the Cayman Islands. Don't miss this full hour of fun and music on the Great Gatlin Getaway. Then, it's the Best of Country Rock showcase as host Charlie Daniels welcomes David Lynn Jones, Mason Ruffner, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and the legendary Southern rock band Leonard Skinner to Charlie Daniels' Volunteer Jam 13. And TNN will take you behind the scenes for a special look at this popular concert. Join host and founder Charlie Daniels for Volunteer Jam 13, Part 2. And Saturdays on TNN bring you vintage rock and rollers from the 50s and 60s as Wolfman Jack hosts Rock and Roll Palace. Then you'll see the stars, hear the music, and feel the magic of the Grand Ole Opry live. It all happens in July on TNN.
Well, we got Scott Pruitt. Just as he came into the pit, he's got the helmet off, putting on the hat. See if we can get a few words with the new champion here at Summit Point. Scott, tell me, how was it out there? It looked like it was really hot.
It was tough, and we needed this one. You know, we've been having a bunch of bad luck so far this season, and getting things together and getting things going. You know, I lost it at one lap to go at Long Beach, and coming back here, I just can't say enough. I mean, it takes a group effort to come win these races, and that's exactly what it was.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
A very relaxed victor, Mr. Scott Pruitt, after 3 hours. He's on his way to Victory Circle. Let's take a look at the overall top 10 standings. The top 10 in the IMSA GTO Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix, number 11, Scott Pruitt, took the win, and he is now 16 points in front of the championship chase for the Camel Crown. Number 6, Pete Halsmer, is in second overall on the standings. Number 98, Dennis Ossie, and Chris Cord came home third. Number 5, Greg Pickett and Wally Dallenbrecht brought the Corvette home fourth. Jack Baldwin and Buzz McCall limped across the line, actually, to end up with the 5th place position. Going back 6th through 10th, P.J. Jones, the son of Parnelli, and John Morton ended up 6th. Kelly Marsh and Roger Mandeville 7th. Willie T. Ribbs was credited with the 9th place spot in GTO. And right now, Dave Bowman has our GTU winner in the Victory Circle area.
Tommy, it looked like you had to race pretty much to yourself all day. Is that true or not?
Well, I did lead quite a number of laps, but it was never easy. I kept looking in my mirror, and I thought I was looking at myself. Max Jones was back there pressing me the whole way in the other CNC Beretta, and it looked like it was going to be a 1-2 finish. I tell you, after coming back from last year and finishing 10th, which was my worst finish all year, come back and win here at Summit Point really means a lot.
Back to you, Bruce.
Well, thanks, Dave, and Ed, our congratulations, too, to Tom Kendall. By the way, as the final standings come up, you will not see the name Amos Johnson as he finished outside of the top 10. He was the Camel GTU individual points leader coming into this race, but that put him in a little bit of trouble. Tom Kendall's victory moved him up to 4th place in that point standings. A lot of great racing in GTU. The IMSA Camel GT would not be complete without the champagne spraying that goes on in Victory Circle. Scott Pruitt, who I have never seen take a drink of it, always is good at shaking it on people and pouring it on people, too. Congratulations, Scott. A nice drive. I'd like to take an opportunity right now as the people are making their way out to give a special thank you to Dave Bowman. Boy, the show wouldn't have been half as good without him working the pit lane. And more champagne going on. Tom Kendall, the 22-year-old winner of the GTU division. A congratulations to you, too, sir. From Summit Point, West Virginia, on a TNN Sports Sunday, I'm Bruce Flanders saying bye for now.
The Mid-Atlantic Toyota Grand Prix has been brought to you by Toyota Motorsports, where technology on a fast track is built into every Toyota car and truck you buy.